welcome, bienvenidos, yokoso. This is English, Spanish, Japanese Live, Episode 2. The theme of this show is lunch, almuerzo, chushoku. Before we start, let's look at this month's 365 language planets. So far this month, we have 16 or maybe 14. I think we have 14 language planets. Takanona, K Workshop, KE, Charming, Kanmama, Take Agnor, YO, Hiromi Okada, Takesh, Yuka, A Highbridge, Hiroti, Disney, and Tetsudo. Great job, everyone. Nice work. If you want to become a 365 language planet, all you need to do is share an idea in the chat. So, let's begin. Empecemos. Hajimemashou. The first question of tonight's show is, what do you usually eat for lunch at home? In español, ¿qué sueles comer en casa para el almuerzo? 日本語で、家で昼食に大抵何を食べますか? So, now, please write your answer in the chat. Hi, Tetsudo! Thank you for joining tonight's show. Ahora, escribe tu respuesta en el chat. Chat ni kotae o kaite kudasai. You have 4 minutes. Tienes 4 minutos. 4分間あります. All right, so what do you usually eat for lunch at home? Please write your answer in the chat. ¿Qué sueles comer en casa para el almuerzo? Escribe tu respuesta en el chat. All right, Tetsudo says, I usually eat rice and miso soup for lunch. Great idea. Nice idea. Charming, thank you for joining tonight's show. I usually eat several kinds of pasta. I ate seafood pasta for lunch today. Wow, sounds delicious. Nice idea. Yeah, I love pasta too. All right. Well, if you're just joining the show right now, please write your answer in the chat. My question is, what do you usually eat for lunch at home? Let's say for me, Grandmama, thank you for joining tonight's show. I usually eat noodle or pasta. Sounds great. Nice idea. All right, Tetsuro says, I like both fish and meat for lunch. Nice idea, which is kind of like me too. So para mí, suelo comer tofu con caballa y kimchi. Yeah. Yes, kimchi. Yes, kimchi. In English, no oohs are just like kimchi, but yeah, kimchi. Yes. All right. So yeah, for me, I wrote para mí, like for me, suero, like usually, I eat tofu with mackerel and kimchi. All right, Takanona, thank you for joining tonight's show. At home, I eat spaghetti or yakisoba for lunch. Sounds great. I love yakisoba too, and spaghetti. Nice idea. All right. If you're just joining the show, please feel free to share your ideas in the chat. So this tonight's question is, what do you usually eat for lunch at home? Tomo, thank you for joining tonight's show. I often eat noodles for lunch. Very nice, nice idea. Noodles are great. I love noodles too. Okay, well, let's move on to the next section. So this time, please write a new question in the chat. Okay, Kei says, I usually use leftovers and make something eatable. Very nice, nice idea, Kei. Ahora, escribe una nueva pregunta en el chat. チャットに新しい質問を書いてください. You have 4 minutes. Good evening, Hiro Miyakata. Thank you for joining tonight's show. O says, I usually eat rice and natto for lunch at home. Very healthy. That sounds great. Very healthy. Okay, so, 今、チャットに新しい質問を書いてください. You have 4 minutes. Tienes 4 minutos. 4分間あります. All right, so, I would say any kind of question is okay, as usual. Charmin says, what do you usually eat for breakfast at home? Great question. For me, I usually don't eat breakfast. All right. How about you, Charmin? Tetsuro says, what do you usually drink? I drink green tea and coffee. Great question. I usually, at home, I usually drink hot water and then coffee. And then sometimes I have hot water again in the evening. Yes, great question. Nice idea. I want to make a question like, what do you usually do before going to bed? I can say that in Japanese. 寝る前に何を大抵しますか? Okay, I'm a little behind. Sorry. K Workshop. Thank you for joining tonight's show. I usually have a daily lunchbox at work. How about you? Nice idea. I have a lunchbox too, sometimes. KE says, what do you usually eat between meals? Great question. How about you, KE? Tetsuro says, I usually listen to music before going to bed. Sounds very healthy. Nice idea. Charmin says, I usually eat for breakfast rice and miso soup and sunny side up. I love eggs, sunny side up, boiled. Yes, great. Takanona says, what do you usually do when you have lunch at home? Great question. I used to watch YouTube videos while having lunch at home, but recently I tried to call my mom. And sometimes my mom and we talk about what would be a good question for the next show. So for me, it's kind of a good chance I can eat my lunch talk to my mom and make a new idea for this show. How about you, Takanona? What do you usually do when you have lunch at home? All right. Thank you very much for subscribing. And please, please feel free to share your ideas in the chat. We love to see more people's ideas. All right. Kan Mama says, what kind of TV dramas do you usually watch? Great question. My family and I, we often watch the family sitcom. How about you, Kan Mama? Tetsuro says, I prefer soft drink to alcohol. I hardly ever drink alcohol. That's great. Very nice. Lyle says, what do you usually drink for breakfast at home? Well, I think you know my answer. I always drink coffee and hot water. If you're just joining the show tonight, please feel free to share your ideas in the chat. K.E. says, I usually eat something sweet, such as chocolate or cake. I have a sweet tooth. I have a sweet tooth too, but nowadays I don't buy cake very often, so it's kind of rare, but I have a sweet tooth too. Very nice idea. Okay, great job, everyone. Nice work. If you're still typing, please continue and share your idea anytime. Let's move on to the next question. So, I usually have lunch around 1:30. How about you? In español, yo suelo almorzar sobre la 1:30 en la tarde. ¿Y tú? 日本語で、私は大抵午後1時半頃に昼食をとります。あなたはどうですか? So now, please write your answer in the chat. Ahora, escribe tu respuesta en el chat. Sorry, that's a mistake. チャットに答えを書いてください. So, yeah, don't write a new question. Please write your answer in the chat. You have 4 minutes. Tienes 4 minutos. 4分間あります. Please write your answer in the chat. All right, Tetsuro says, I usually have lunch around 12:30. Sounds good. For me, I have lunch around 12:30 on Mondays. But, Tuesday to Sunday, I usually have lunch around 1:30. Oh my God, where's the timer? Sorry. Okay, Charmin says, I usually have lunch around 1 p.m. Nice idea. Okay, Tomo says, what alcoholic drink do you usually drink for dinner? Great question, Tomo. I usually, it depends on the season. This season, I often drink shochu with hot water. How about you, Tomo? I love red wine too. Red wine is great. All right. So if you're just joining the show for the first time, please feel free to share your answers in the chat. You can use English, Spanish, or Japanese. So I usually have lunch around 1:30. How about you? Please write your answer in the chat. Yo suelo almorzar sobre la 1:30 en la tarde. ¿Y tú? Escribe tu respuesta en el chat. All right, Kan Mama says, I usually have lunch around 12 with my husband. Sounds like a nice, healthy time to have lunch. Miyakata says, I usually have lunch at noon. It's a routine for 30 years. Wow, you and Kan Mama, almost same time. That's great. So 私は大抵午後1時半頃に昼食をとります。あなたはどうですか？チャットに答えを書いてください。Takanona says, I usually start lunch around 30 minutes before or after 12 o'clock. Very nice. Lyle says, I usually have lunch around 1. How about you? Great question. Yeah, me too. Me too. But for me, sometimes I have my lunch after 2 p.m. But sometimes I have my lunch before 1 p.m. So that's why I said on average, I have lunch around 1:30 p.m. How about you? Please write your answer in the chat. What time do you usually have lunch? All right. I think I was kind of slow to start the timer, so I'm going to move on to the next section at 30 seconds. All right. So, Hiromikata says, I usually get up at 6:30. How about you? Nice question. Nice idea. All right. I'm going to move on to the next sentence, next idea. Flying. No problem. Okay, so now, please write a new question in the chat. Okay, so ahora escribe una nueva pregunta en el chat. Chatに新しい質問を書いてください. You have 4 minutes. I'm going to start the timer now, so don't forget, don't miss it. Okay, so you have 4 minutes to write a new question in the chat. Okay, Hiromikata said, I usually get up at 6:30. How about you? Nice idea. Me too, actually. Recently, I get up around 6:30 every day too. Tetsudo says, I like French fries and ramen too. Me too. K Workshop says, I usually have lunch at noon, but I want to have lunch as soon as possible. That's interesting. I would say, K Workshop, why do you want to have lunch as soon as possible? Takanona says, I usually have an hour for lunch. How about you? Great question. That's lucky. You're lucky to have an hour for lunch. One place I work at, I have 50 minutes for lunch. And then other than that, I always have lunch at home. Okay, Tetsudo says, I get up at 7 a.m. and go to bed at midnight. That's kind of, for me, I get up at 6:30, around 6:30, and go to bed around 11:30. All right, K Workshop says, because I usually don't have breakfast. Yes, me too. Me too. All right. Well, now, チャットに新しい質問を書いてください。Escribe una nueva pregunta en el chat. All right. Wayo says, I usually have dinner around 7. How about you? Yeah, me too. I think, I would say I usually have dinner around 7 too. KE says, I usually have a bath around 9 p.m. How about you? Great question. I usually have a bath around 10 p.m. I'm the last one in my family to have a bath. And so My bath is kind of late. But yeah, great question. Nice work. Right, Tetsudo says, what do you like to do in your free time? I like watching movies and reading books. Great question. I like watching movies too, but I would say, recently in my free time, I like to rest and play Duolingo. And sometimes, I like to make new ideas for languages, either, Japanese, Spanish, German. I try to make some new ideas. And of course, sometimes I like to play with my son. Uh, he has a drone, so sometimes we play with his drone together. And sometimes my family and I, we watch TV in our free time. Charmin says, I usually take a walk twice a week. How about you? Great question. Nowadays, this year, I'm trying to take a walk almost every day. It's my target. Okay, nice work. Great job, everyone. I'm not sure if I clapped, so many ideas. So great job. Nice work, everyone. Let's move on to the last question of tonight's show, which is, do you have a favorite place to have lunch? Okay. Tatsuro says, very nice. Thank you. Just practice, practice, practice. Okay. En español, ¿tienes un lugar favorito para almorzar? 日本語でランチを食べるお気に入りの場所はありますか? Okay, please write your answer in the chat. Escribe tu respuesta en el chat. チャットに答えを書いてください. You have 4 minutes. Tienes 4 minutos. 4分間あります. Do you have a favorite place to have lunch? Please write your answer in the chat. ¿Tienes un lugar favorito para almorzar? Escribe tu respuesta en el chat. ランチを食べるお気に入りの場所はありますか? チャットに答えを書いてください. Do you have a favorite place to have lunch? Please write your answer in the chat. Recently, my favorite place to have lunch is a Vietnamese restaurant very near my home. So and I like it because the food is delicious, the price is good, and the location is great. How about you? Do you have a favorite place to have lunch? Please let me know by writing your answer in the chat. 日本語、スペイン語、英語使えます. Tomo says, I usually wash my hands after returning home. How about you? Me too. Yes. I often, I love to wash my hands after returning home. Great question. Tezero says, I like eating lunch at a sushi shop near my house. Nice idea. I think I love, for me, if I have sushi for lunch, I usually go to a supermarket and get takeout sushi. But eating sushi at a sushi shop is wonderful. Charmin says, yes, I have. I have a favorite soba restaurant. It's very delicious and good mood. That was fantastic. K Workshop says, my favorite place to have lunch is a ramen shop near my work, but I shouldn't have ramen every day. Yeah, I think so. I think you should, it's good to have a variety of food for lunch. If you're just joining the show for the first time, you can write your answer in inglés, español, o yeah, japonesa, japonés, 日本語. All right. Mikata says, I love to eat soba lunch recently, but I don't go there. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Soba is, I love to eat soba for lunch too. Soba is a great lunch food. Nice idea. All right. Takanona says, yes, I often go to the ramen restaurant near my house. Very nice. So, I often go to a Thai restaurant near my house too. It's kind of Thai or Vietnamese. Okay, all right, let's move on to the last section of tonight's show. So this time, please write a new question in the chat. Escribe una nueva pregunta en el chat. チャットに新しい質問を書いてください. All right, KE says, my favorite place to have lunch in my house is a room on the third floor from which you can enjoy a significant view of my town. Sounds great. Sounds very nice. All right, I'm going to start the timer. So you have 4 minutes. Okay. So, KE, your favorite place to have lunch is in your house in a room on the third floor from which you can enjoy I would add a significant view of your town. That sounds fantastic. I love to look out the window when I have lunch too. Maybe the view from my home is not significant, but I like it. Okay, Tetsuro says, what color do you like? I like blue and green. Great question. Nice idea. Blue. Yes, for me, I love blue, green, and yellow. But, I often wear black. I guess I like black too. Blue, green, yellow, and black. But I think, maybe I like every color. But yeah, that's a great, interesting question. All right. So, please write a new question in the chat. My original question was, do you have a favorite place to have lunch? Ahora, escribe una nueva pregunta en el chat. Mi pregunta es, ¿tienes un lugar favorito para almorzar? 今、チャットに新しい質問を書いてください. Charmin says, do you have a favorite place to chat with your friends silently? Nice question. I need to think about that one. Okay, Tessero says, now you're wearing the white shirt. Yes, thank you. I like white too. White's nice, thank you. Yeah, I think, I like every color pretty much. All right, so back to Charming's question. Do you have a favorite place to chat with your friends silently? That's a tough question. How about you, Charming? Hinomikara says, do you have a favorite TV show in the U.S. broadcasting? So I've never seen it, but one show I want to watch is, um, now I can't remember, but I think it's like Georgie, something Georgie. But yeah, good question, Hiromi. How about you? Kan Mama says, do you know a nice Italian restaurant for lunch in Maebashi? Great question. I know my favorite pasta, kind of Italian pasta restaurant is called. I can't remember. What? Oh, Grassa, Grassa. Okay, Wyo says, do you have a favorite proverb? Great question. I love to say Nana Korobi Yaoki. How about you? Wyo? Tetsuro said, would you mind if I ask you how many languages do you speak? Great question. Well, English is my mother language, and Japanese is my kind of second language, and Spanish is my third language, and German is my fourth language. So I know English is the strongest, and then Japanese, Spanish, and German. And I studied Vietnamese for a long time, but Vietnamese was very difficult. How about you, Tetsuro? Takanona says, do you have a favorite song to listen to while eating lunch? Great question. I don't have a favorite song. How about you, Takanona? Can please let me know now or let me know the next time we meet. All right. Well, that's the end of tonight's show. Este es el finale del programa de hoy. これで今日のプログラムは終わりです。Hey, no problem, Tetsuro. I think you are great too for, using English and communicating with us. That's great. Nice job. Thank you so much for studying and using languages with me tonight. Muchas gracias por estudiar y usar idiomas conmigo. See you, Tetsuro. Have a good night. See you, Wyo. Have a good night. Our next show will be Easy English, German, Japanese, live on Thursday night. And then the next one will be English Conversation live with Study Buddy on Sunday. And the next English, Spanish, Japanese live show will be on Tuesday at 8:30. My pleasure, Hiromi. Hope you have a great night. So, if you haven't already, please subscribe and give the show a big thumbs up. I hope everyone has a great night. Espero que todos tengan una buenísima noche. 皆さんは素晴らしい夜をお過ごしください。Alright, I'll see you next time. Nos vemos pronto. また近いうちに会いましょう。Goodbye.